In order to understand life or any other complex phenomenon in the universe, it's not at all necessary to invoke a supernatural deity. And he further adds that attributing the complexity of life to an eternal God is just lazy work. Hey everybody, welcome to the Red Pill Read. So in this video, I'll be reviewing another Richard Dawkins book called The Blind Watchmaker. So right at the beginning, this book poses a very interesting question, and this question is about the complexity of life on our planet. If we take a look at the human body or any other life form in this case, what we can notice is that they all have something in common, and that is their complex design. Now, this book is dedicated to answering this overwhelming question without resorting to some supernatural element or deity. And according to the Blind Watchmaker, the only plausible explanation that could unravel the mystery of complex design is evolution by natural selection. The Darwinian theory of evolution is something that's widely misunderstood by the majority, and a common misconception that people hold about this theory is that they think it advocates chance or randomness. So yes, evolution is a guided process, but it's not guided by a conscious, omnipotent creator, but by the blind forces of nature. And that's why this book is titled The Blind Watchmaker. Now, why is the watchmaker blind? Because it doesn't have a motive or a purpose. Any life form that adapts to its natural environment survives, and the one that doesn't perishes. Now, something that's really unique about the books written by Professor Richard Dawkins is that he breaks down complex ideas from evolutionary biology and genetics and beautifully explains it in layman terms. And he also uses plenty of analogies in his books, which makes it easier for the reader to understand certain concepts of biology. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So in order to explain the complexity of a single human cell, he speaks in terms of the information storage capacity of a cell, and he says that a single human cell is capable of storing all the 30 volumes of the Encyclopedia Britannica 3 or 4 times over. Now, these kinds of comparisons store a mental image in the reader's mind, which they will probably remember for the rest of their lives. Now, understanding evolution might be a little challenging because it's a very gradual process and it happens in cumulative steps. So it's not humanly possible to witness evolution because the average human lifespan is less than a century, and the process of evolution is continuous and it lasts for millions of years. Now, in order to overcome this obstacle, computer simulations are used that speed up the process of formation of each generation, and as a result of this, we get to witness cumulative selection in action. These computer simulations are called the Biomorph Model, and a whole chapter in this book has been dedicated to explaining how the biomorph land operates. The core message of the Blind Watchmaker book is that in order to understand life or any other complex phenomenon in the universe, it's not at all necessary to invoke a supernatural deity. And he further adds that attributing the complexity of life to an eternal God is just lazy work. Now, in the Self-Gene book, in order to explain the complexity of life, Professor Dawkins uses the primeval soup or the primordial soup theory. But in the Blind Watchmaker, he takes a different route and uses the inorganic mineral theory proposed by a molecular biologist named Can Smith. So according to this theory, the original life form on this planet were inorganic self-replicating crystals such as silicates, and eventually they were overtaken by organic self-replicating molecules. Now, as far as I've understood, the origin of life is a very debatable topic, and there are numerous theories out there that try to explain this phenomenon. So I think the scientific community is yet to come up with a clear-cut answer on how life came into existence. And I hope that one day the scientists would be able to create self-replicating molecules in a laboratory. Now, in the book, Professor Dawkins does agree that the origin of the first replicating molecule appears to be a miraculous event. And then he poses the question of what exactly is a miracle and what does science has to say about miracles. Now, if you notice a random statue of Mother Mary waving at you, you would consider that to be a miracle because you have an understanding of how the nature operates and how the laws of physics work on this planet. And what you just witnessed is contrary to your understanding of how things should operate. So it's an impossible event, and therefore it's a miracle. But from the viewpoint of science, a statue waving at you is not an impossible event. It's a highly improbable one. So theoretically, yes, it is possible for a statue to wave at you, but the odds against this is a number greater than the age of the whole universe. And the same holds true when it comes to the origin of the first self-replicating molecule. It surely is an improbable event, but the odds against it are calculable. Another thing that I noticed is that Professor Dawkins refrains from using mathematical expressions in this book, as this book is intended for the general audience. So what he does is that he uses non-mathematical prose to explain mathematical ideas. The Blind Watchmaker also talks about the different schools of thoughts that exist within evolutionary biology, and the most prominent ones are known as gradualism and punctuationism. Now, what led to the split is that there are plenty of jerky gaps or missing links in the fossil records, and the different schools of thoughts that I just mentioned about, they have their own set of explanation of what these gaps signify. Alright, so that briefly covers all the major topics discussed in this book. Now, should you read The Blind Watchmaker? Well, if you're someone who truly wants to understand how evolution by natural selection works and how life attained its complexity without the intervention of a conscious designer, this book right here is the holy grail for you, as it holds the answer to all these questions. Alright, so that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and if you would like to get a copy of this book, I've dropped a link down in the description of this video. And by the way, if you like my content, do hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and also make sure to click on the bell icon so the next time when I upload a video, you get notified. Alright then, I'll be back again with another book review. Until then, bye, take care, and have a great week ahead.